He runs Art Lab. He teaches the use of AI art and AI agent tools for digital experiences with a key focus on open source creative tech. Let's welcome Justin!
Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? I'm kind of curious, show of hands, sorry, I haven't spoken publicly in a while, so if I'm weird, I'm sorry. But how many would identify as primarily a creative or artist and tech is something you're like adopting because you have to or you're curious? Like creative forward. And how many are tech forward, programmers, I like nerdy tech things? Wow, such an even split, all right. There's no way, you just gotta shoot for the middle, I guess. Okay, so I'm also a technical person, but I'm also a little bit artistic. And a lot of my research and time has been spent thinking about the nature of uncertainty and reliability. I challenged myself to use AI for everything, so I am a creative, I have some foundational training. I'm gonna do the whole thing where you're supposed to brag about yourself for 2 minutes, but I'm gonna try to do that fast and well. And then we're gonna talk about cool tools and models and things. So at Art Lab, I'm primarily considered with helping people build workflow solutions and educating people about how to deploy their models locally and in the cloud. So that's like a local thing and that's a cloud thing, and he's typing. So that's how that works. And myself, I've always been like very into visual storytelling and writing. I wrote a couple books, I published one. I used to do live painting. I got the CMF funding to make a video game once. I had slides that were like very, like pictures of all these things, but I decided just to do like a little summary. I also spent some time studying something I'm really passionate about that's kind of taken me by surprise because I got, from my interest in literature and philosophy, I became interested in something that's called multi-agent reinforcement learning. But that was like 2012 and everyone thought I was an alien and I was talking about, but like when AI emerges, everyone's like, okay, go to bed, professor. So that has like suddenly become very relevant, but for me, everyone, it kind of didn't care. But I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I like these little AI, I kept all my AI mistakes. So I spent some time doing decentralized Web3 development because the only way to really do agent work was to think about decentralized mesh computation solutions. And so I spent some time being capital T technical, and I founded a couple businesses, and I did have like a thing that people like to say where they had an exit, but it was not a good exit, but I did build a team with lots of people. And I did a consultancy, and then I did a product with a really great product founder. And then I tried my own product, but I just stayed in my bedroom and didn't advertise it properly, and it wasn't a good product and didn't help anyone. So then I thought I would maybe do something else. I did some consulting. And then in the middle of working in a Web3 agency, I was building these websites that sold NFTs. I was like, this is not really what I thought decentralized computation was going to turn into and like shared property, but I thought, this is, and I got a chance to work with a company that I won't name that was like my hero company. I was like, oh, so great. They like founded this idea and they're so creative. And then I found out that they were like self-hosting all their blockchains and it was like a whole advertising play. So I was like, okay, I can't do that. And then the AI thing happened. I was like, okay, I saved up some money. I'm going to quit. I'm just going to play with the AI all day, every day and take all my old research code and try to build something. I didn't know what I was building. So I started building creative workflow solutions with friends. I started doing like video projects and image projects and just kind of screwing around in Unity and on the web. And I ended up thinking a lot about the nature of the creative process. And so before I get to AI workflows, I wanted to sort of present some of my findings over the last, I guess, 15 years, thinking a lot about how AI and society interfaces and what's the nature of like human consciousness and creativity and all that. And I think like the creative process today can be visualized as this idea of gathering up inspiration from, I'm going really fast, right? I should probably relax. Sorry. Yeah, I haven't done this in a while, I'm sorry. I used to do this more. Back in the game. Okay, so creative process. You get inspired because you're integrated in some social technical fabric and you gather references and you keep them and you look at them and then you think, oh my God, I can make something with this, and you make up some mock-ups and then you go through revisions with your community and you have final things and then, oh my God, you have to reformat it and chop it into pieces and then share it on the internet and then ideally like archive it somewhere so you never forget your memories and everyone always remembers you. And so this process, when people say like AI is killing creativity, I'm like, which part exactly? And like, where do you feel threatened and where do you find your creativity? Because there are people who their whole life is like they made Pinterest for a reason. and they love curating. And there are people who like actually are really nerdy about file formats, and you can find them on Reddit. It's great. I'm a weird decentralization guy. I like the idea of diffusing knowledge over society so it's always safe from corruption. Weird thing to be interested in. And I like art and visual tools. I don't actually like sitting in front of my computer doing a like drawing on a tablet. I find that quite negative. So the idea is like, where do you want to include a robot on this process? Like, where do you feel, for yourself, where do you feel empowered and where do you feel disempowered? And try not to yuck anyone else's yum unless it ruins the party for everyone. So I think if like someone's doing art and you don't like it, you don't like that art. You wouldn't use it that way. But like someone else really loves marketing and they think that that's the way they're expressing themselves, that's cool, I guess, and that's great. And you know, everyone's got their own place in a pipeline, and to feel empowered, I think it's important to consider where in the process you feel held back and where you think you want to grow, and knowing that now we have this weird diffuse knowledge fabric that that can support us and allow us to become more whoever we want to be, for better and worse, right? So what I talk about in the course, so I run courses, so I'm gonna try to like say, come take the course at some point. But I kind of like see people go through an adoption process, both individually and in organizations. They kind of like, what is all this AI crap? I hate it. I don't like it. And then they're like, this thing is really dumb. Like, okay, they're okay, but I gotta watch everything the LLM does. Like, I can't. And then some people are really Claude code vibers. I'm not really gonna talk about coding tools, but they get kind of to the point where they're like, okay, you know, I can have 3 or 4 terminals up, but I feel like my whole day is just like having conversations with robots. And then there's like this God feeling you get when you have a chain of 4 or 5 things that happen, and it seemed like it was really smart and it just did it. You're like, wow, I just expressed my will and nature just you know, Moses parted the seas, and it feels really nice, right? It feels like this is what I thought when I was being born life was, you know? So anyway, so I tried to put names to each of these development stages and attach a curriculum to them. So I call the first one discovery, practice and control, triggers and flows, and orchestration and observables. I don't have time, obviously, to go into all of these. I think I'm probably also going to ramble too much, so because I want to make sure we have time to like play around later. But I will sort of have a couple slides on each of these. Who here has played with a lot of image models and like, kind of knows how to prompt images and video? Okay, and who is totally new to that idea? Or not totally new, but who's only played with like 1 or 2 models? Okay, better question. Who's played with more than 3 models? Okay, great. Okay, good. I just want to know like how deep I have to go in certain places. So one of the hardest parts of AI is feeling like you're overwhelmed. Actually, I think I made a special slide for this. So this feeling of being overwhelmed, I know, right? I know, I worked so hard on this, it was stupid. I was like doing AI stuff until I was in the Uber like, ah. Anyway, I do feel like it feels like every day you go online and there's like a new SaaS tool. I think that's very overwhelming. But I think it's important to understand how the industry works, and so I like to build visuals to explain complex systems. That's what I did for engineering, and that's what I like to do in art as well. I like to communicate ideas. So there's like these mega corporations making models, and then what's interesting is the models aggregate in silos, and silos are like just websites, replicate.com and fal.ai, and they have thousands of models. You can fork them, make your own, or like the GitHub for AI. I always advocate to people to just like hang out on the aggregators for a few reasons. So I'll go back here and I'll just say like aggregators are really important in the community because they usually provide, you know, warehouse access to SaaS tools. So you're kind of cutting the SaaS market out. You're also losing out on the nice user interfaces, but you get to develop like a primary interface or a primary relationship with your model. You get to learn how they work, their kinks. I think when there's a SaaS play in the way you're paying $20 for 3 tools, you get less tool exposure, a lot of like marketing fatigue, and then a lot of uncertainty. Like if that company goes bust and you learn their user interface, now you're not creative in that way anymore. It's a very tenuous relationship. Whereas a lot of models are going to be around for the rest of our lives. So let me go back. Okay, practice. So discovery, I'd say like, you know, focus on the aggregators. And when thinking about practice and control, I think there are a few categories that I've noticed people kind of end up in. I just made this up. This is not like a thing people talk about. But I do feel like you can approach AI as like a one-shot problem. Like I'm the perfect prompt architect. Or you can approach a problem with chat. Or this is a thinking problem. I'm going to say, go lob a grenade here. It's going to chat with itself and hallucinate and come back with a solution. Or you can craft a meticulous workflow, usually of one shot or mixed sort of steps. And so with art or any process in your life, before you sit down to solve it, it's worth thinking about, is this like inherently a conversational problem where you need like a high degree of control and you're like, helicopter parenting something? Or is this a problem that can just be thrown away like research? Or is this something where I need to have a lot of skill? Like, is this my paintbrush? And I think for a lot of artists, that's why I advocate going to something like replicate.com and not using the SaaS tools, because you're gonna learn those tokens, those words, how they trigger that version of that model. And that, especially if it's an open source model, you can always download that, and that's like your permanent paintbrush, right? You can know that like, in the future, if they took that system away or they took that platform away, you can just invest some money and continue on with your art journey. And that's why I'm also passionate about workflows. I think chat and agent tools are very valuable. I think having conversations and being in community with agents is something I thought a lot about. But I don't think that it's like the operating modality for every problem. I think it's very high touch and it's very exhausting. And I think, a lot of people sometimes feel that way. Okay, so that's like my basic psychological categories. That's like my boring gift. I was a lecturer, so I'm sorry, I don't know why I just feel the drive to educate. But to sort of get closer to something practical, I wanted to talk about the core, why am I showing you before I ask you? I'll just show you. It's easier. Okay, so these are not like official categories, but I've noticed that a lot of AI models, so when you submit a query, you choose like, I want to use Midjourney's this version, or I want to use Flux 2, or Nano Banana 2 came out, and it's very busy and not that much better. And like, what are you going to use? And I think, I've noticed that the broad categories that I see are generators, editors, styles, and tools, tool models. And so I'll explain what I mean. So is anyone here familiar with what stable diffusion is versus like an LLM? So I'll give you, oh man, I wish I had that slide. Damn. Okay, so generators are, okay. Who here is familiar with composition, like the concept of composition and like value gradients and like dark and light on a surface? Right. So what's really cool about raw generator stable diffusion models, and this is just something everyone should know, is that they operate on the existing pixels that you give them in like image space. So if you have an image and you have like a dark spot, it's very hard to get the generator to walk away from that, but it'll hallucinate on top of that. And using that, you can like carve the surface of its like attention and get it to like make interesting pictures. And we can look at what that means in a moment. Editors are things that make foundational changes to images. Nano Banana tries to be like everything, so they kind of ruined this whole category system. But Nano Banana is like kind of an editor-forward model. It's very hard to get it to act like artistic or to make an arm grow out of a leg and stuff in a weird way. And then there are like really purpose-built models that do things like correct an eyebrow, change a face, or some random scientist published a model that helps like change skin texture, but only on frogs if they've been up too late or something. There's like thousands of weird models out there that are really fun to find on these open source communities. And so thinking about your problem, I think sometimes people just go straight for like Nano Banana. And it's like, okay, but if you look around, there might be actually a purpose-built, cheap, fast, locally run, or cloud model that is much cheaper and faster for this specific problem that will work 100% of the time. And so it's worth getting to know the aggregator space and the thousands of models that are out there, and not just hanging out on some of the SaaS products. Okay. So you want to hire a videographer, or you want to work with someone on video, it's good to understand the categories of video models. I think it's enough kind of education stuff. I kind of want to go on to something a little bit more visual and interactive. What do you guys think? Okay, yeah. Let's just come back to some of these weird things later. I decided I wanted to do video, so I like vibe coded myself a presentation system yesterday, like an idiot, and it was a lot of more work than I thought. So I was talking about this concept or this tool. I didn't really anticipate the mic thing. Here, give me a second. It's actually like an OS thing. So I made this really great tool that actually renders well, but I'm still dogfooding it and working on it. But this is where I built the presentation slides. So what this tool is for is it solves a lot of problems in the industry. In fact, I will bring up the slides for the last slide because I want to dovetail into some of the problems in the industry. And I think because I'm being a little scatterbrained, I forgot to like mention the core bridging points that are very important. So there are solved and unsolved challenges that we have to face in AI. I think there's obviously lots of social problems we have to solve. We've solved like idea generation. It's easy to get lots of ideas. It's easy to integrate with social media and open claw and have lots of conversations with strangers and robots. It's easy to delegate things to agents and do image editing, all this stuff. But video control is really bad. Consistency is still a challenge. It's really weird to think about sharing an archival. Like we have these SaaS websites, but if I sign up for one of these and I build my identity, like are you gonna steal like my know-how and my identity as an artist if I like upload fragments of my consciousness, which is where the word fragment came from? Do I own this stuff? Like if I'm participating in this diffuse corporate cloud, what do I own? How do I handle large files? You ever work with a videographer? What do you do with like 10 terabytes of footage that you're trying to siphon into 5-second bytes to feed through? Like it doesn't make sense. And there's just a lot of reusability and like realistic problems. I think for me as an artist, I really didn't like cloud tools, and that's why I started building my own archival solutions. I was like, I don't really feel comfortable being an artist until I can like manage or own my own work. Like I want to own it. I want to own this process. Like I learned how to paint and draw. I know how to use my hand. Like I want to know if I come back in 6 months, I can do this drawing again. And so I thought like, being able to deliver and repeat and understand your work is really important. And so I started building this tool for myself. It's something I use as like a studio tool when I work with others to version control and manage my stuff, because they might say something like, well, how much work did that really take? And then I can just like show them a screenshot of one of my workflows and be like, well, it took like dozens of hours to figure out the face because we changed it 20 times. But the general idea in workflows overall is that when you do something, I think like there are cool, is anyone here familiar with Weavy? Yeah, so Weavy's cool. I might have been like a power Weavy user if it existed earlier. I think Weavy still has a problem because it's a SaaS product and it's hard to do to work with real big data with Weavy. But this general idea of like, let's say, this is where I started. I was like, okay, I gotta figure out these slides. And I feel very creative on paper, so I was able to like sit down and carve out pieces of paper. I'm a very tactile person, so for me, this idea that I could explore my concepts on paper was great. So I got all my ideas. A lot of these slides I didn't use. It was way too many slides, like 48. I didn't show 48, right? So that was too much, but it's okay. It gave me a place to store that for the future. These are like canonical ideas. And then I did do some work in Figma, and I found in here, like in this flow, this is just like files on my hard drive. Oh, let's just ignore that. I pressed a lot of buttons today. But yeah, I did some primary styling work. This tool I did so many upgrades before coming here, and now it's not as good. Thanks, dude. So, I did some primary ideation there, and then I thought, okay, but I want to generate lots of interesting looks and slides. So from that like gestation and through prompting and through some photos I had taken, I was able to like come up with loads of these images that some of it like were very corporate-y, some of them I liked, some of them I didn't, but I have them now forever and they just sit on my hard drive. And I like that. I like that if I want to go back to this project, I can just open up this project and grab whatever image. I think I was working on a project called View Dance Challenge. Well, I know I was. And they came back after, this is just a random picture of a cat. They came back after the edit and we did some work together, and they were like, okay, well, we really love these cards you did, but we want a couple more cities. Now imagine if I had done this AI project, had saved all my prompts in a hard drive somewhere, walked away, and then had to recreate that. So I think this idea of like thinking about what's a creative process that I want to store forever, and what's a problem I need to solve right now that's temporary. What's worth it, because it is more work to build your concepts and to break them into stages and to think that way. And what do you want to give away? I think this is like a valuable way to think about AI. And then when you do have workflows, even if it's a spreadsheet, throw them in a spreadsheet. If you want to use this tool with me, this piece of crap, you can join the wait list. It's going to be good eventually. I'm very committed to it. I do everything in here. And some things I shouldn't, because it's really a waste of time, but I'm convinced that it'll be worth it one day. What else have we got in here? Oh yeah, I should show you guys my landing page. So I did my own web page. It's the same, it's like the same weird video player actually, but I made it before. Got it. So this is like, you know, me on the website. So you could buy things from me if you want. Like my knowledge, I guess, because that's what I'm selling now. Because you can't sell coding anymore. But if you click around on the website, he walks around. And so, you know, I could vibe code this knowledge graph and got this website component updated. And it's like, oh, very cool. I got this thing made. And imagine if I didn't have every prompt and I couldn't go back to this. Because now that I have this, and I'm not just trying to say on the tool, I'm trying to say on the concept, right? But also the tool, if you like it. But this idea is, you know, that was a video project, sorry. It was not that landing. Yes. Oh, yeah. Give it a second. Yeah. Maybe it's a sign of my ego or something. It's like, my name's in it, it's huge. So yeah, so this is basically from beginning to end, every environment, every look I made from every shot, and then every prompt, like if I wanted to figure out, you know, like, well, how did I do that transition shot? I really liked it. I can open it up. And in the future, I want to actually, that is actually just a gallery node, Justin. Let me find one that actually does computation. Okay, let's go to just a different one that's easier. Oh, yeah. I know, right? I was like, I prompted to put this realistic costume on me, and it felt like when you're a teenager, and you're like, oh, I'm going to dress up like Batman. You're like, no, make it real. And then it came out like that. I was like, that's exactly what would happen. That's exactly how that experience would go, right? Yeah, so AI can be kind of like too real, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I've been like kind of sitting on this idea of this like world where there's like mouths emerging from things. And I kind of think I might want to make an interactive video-based exploration world where you walk around and like figure out which mouth to feed and things will happen in an environment. And I think that like these silly kind of projects now can materialize because of AI. So that's enough of me talking. Is there someone had an interesting point earlier. I'm trying to remember, we were talking about models, and I wanted to have something interactive we could talk about. We were talking about Qwen image edit, and if it's very different from something like Nano Banana. And I think I have Qwen in here. So if we want, we can just kind of do that experiment. Is there any sort of interesting thing that we want to visualize or play around with? Or how much time do I have left, by the way?
Keep going, you're good. You guys are like enjoying this, right?
Yeah? Is there anything you want me to do? Like videos are really annoying, but like, because they take so long, but anything with images.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. Or I know, that's so horrible. Oh yeah, you have to like prompt with like a crystal, yes.
Can you do like a basic intro to how you could use fragment?
Oh, thank you, that's so nice of you to do that, Jesus. That's so nice. Thank you, yes. So workflow tools in general, Weavy and Fragment, and anything of this nature, in my mind, who's here is familiar with Comfy UI? Yeah, Comfy UI, I had a weird relationship with it because I started using it. I'm like, this is so good for workflows, but like, where's my stuff? You know? And I felt the same thing about Weavy. Weavy's like, cool. It's like, yeah, but gotta log in and pay credits to see my art. Like, I just had so this tool, just so you know, I should tell you a little bit about where I would like to go is like, if I die, it's open source. And if I make enough money, it's open source. But I'd also, I think like, more to that point, everything's geared towards local and having local versions of everything and being able to write your own nodes, being able to be an author of the platform and feel like you have that proprietary knowledge, you know what's happening with your art, like it's your art tools, it's your paintbrushes. So for me, that's more what this urge was to build something, because I wanted to know that if I was like, oh, I got a weird idea in the middle of the night, like let's do something with Nano Banana, what should I make? I need a person, place, or thing.
Control-Shift at Walnut
It's too.
Avenue.
Will it know what Control-Shift is? Well, the new Nano Banana 2, which I did, this is a horrible, sorry. Whenever I open anything, it's going to become very obvious how bad it is.
Half frog, half mermaid. People.
Okay, that's good. Let's do actually Nano Banana. It's so fast now. Let's It's better for crowd work. So half, what is it?
Eating a banana. Riding a motorcycle.
All right, let's go for that. So we get that guy going. What else do we want to do? There's so much stuff here that's like very practical. That's just the most interesting node is for sure. It's funny how much stuff you need in life to just do the fun stuff. You go home, you're like, I want to do something fun. You're like, oh, I got like 5. It's the same thing with like building nodes. You're like, oh, cool image. Now I got to store it and like, you know, edit it and change its dimensions. And it's like so much work in life. Wow, it's very specific.
So are you generating like these storyboards, like these like multiple slides, like in a single node there?
Yeah. So basically, how this little duder works is that, like, say I like this output. If I select a model that takes input, which is just like the fonts are so wild, like I did not set this up. Sorry, I use self-degrading humor to make myself comfortable. Okay, let's get rid of that. It's just even me. What kind of eyes do you have to have? All right, so we can, for example, just pipe in this image, and then we can do something to it. So it's like, now is a cat. There are some techniques that I find interesting. Like one of my favorite techniques to sort of freshen up a look or to have some sort of fun is to grab an image and sort of like grab something like Gemini. I'm actually like a big fan of 2.5 because 2.5 is really fast. And it also reads images. So you can send Gemini like whole essays and documents and stuff. So I can say to it something like, oh my goodness, really bad. I need controls for this, you know? I need those little toggles to change the font size. So let's describe, well, let's actually, you know what? Just give me a second. And this is the whole point, isn't it? It does, yeah. It made it especially for Control-Shift. Oh, Betsy, you're running so many things. I know. Oh, God. Oh, wow, this is not happy with how I'm behaving. I have a really good image analyzer node in here that I built that is just like fantastic that I really liked. And it was just such a good prompt. If I can find it. All right, well, forget that. Sorry, guys.
Where you have like multiple like different slides there, are you like generating that all at once, or are you pulling them in from different places?
So the way the tool works is that like anyone could write nodes. So I wrote API integrations to FAL, Replicate, Comfy UI, and Python. So anything you can write in Python, you can wrap into this tool. There's like a Python node. I also actually, who here uses Claude Code and Claude CLI? So this thing has an MCP server that I'm setting up right now. And I'm not finished yet. It's like the jankiest node ever, and I really wanted to do this. It was like something I wanted so bad because it was like such a cool idea. But you can chat, in the future you'll be able to chat with open code in the tool and ask it to like build and work on the node while you're doing other things. And you can connect its context to the open code node. So one of the most annoying things about who else, so we have a reasonable amount of coders, right? Looks like 30, 40%. Okay, so context management and coding I find very annoying. And for me, it's like, no, I want you to know about these 7 documents and not these for this task. And so I took the open code is basically open source Claude code. And so I have it local. It can work on itself and change its own code. I don't have it set up that way. But the idea is that if you treat, like, I find open code is very capable if you treat it as a one-shot engine. You can actually take output from any process or any of your documents and link it and give it that context in a node and say, hey, these are your 7 documents. Every time I talk to you, these are the 7 documents. You're never going to forget. You're never going to get stale context on that problem. I think that is like is going to be a very common need in the future. So if you use Claude CLI in your coding, one of the questions for yourself is like, well, how do I make sure that I can get back to that? Like, I did a really great PR. Like, how do I get back to that PR I did? Oh my God, it's so nice, isn't it? It's so AI-y, though. Give it a second to load up. But yeah, so that's the basic idea. I didn't actually plan to like do, like it's kind of hard to like drive and present at the same time.
Is it all running locally?
The tool's running locally. I have a couple local models, but they're not very good. And most of it's going through APIs. But if I had a better computer, it could all be local. Yeah. How long have I been up? How long should I go?
You can wrap it up right now if you want.
Well, let's make it a little more interactive because I don't want to feel like I'm droning on about weird workflows. So, what are some like? Does anyone have like a concern about AI? Because I also actively read most of the AI research I can get a hand on, and I've consumed a lot of data. So we could also just have a discussion. Who here is worried about climate and AI, or energy use? How about privacy? Democracy? Ah, yeah, good. Like, some people are interested in democracy. So, yeah. So, when you're in this society and you have this environment that's like saturated with a lot of social media and a lot of messages all the time that are generated from bots, I think we form our identity based off of that. And so one of the reasons I think potentially local or privacy is important is not because we're doing something wrong and we're bad people. It's because we want to have a fundamental ability, like a practical ability to form our own identities. And so one of the worries I have about AI isn't really about privacy, isn't it about like if you're a good person or a bad person, it's about forging the ability to form your own identity and preserving those rights as a society. So, you know, like working on this and even sharing this idea of this concept and explaining that, like, you know, maybe our foundational value as people is our knowledge and our know-how that we discovered through our years of work. And so when we log into a SaaS platform and we upload our workflows and then they just recycle those, that's like quite damaging in a way that we're not quite aware of yet, because we're still associated with the idea that we're the doers of the knowledge, not the holders of the knowledge. And so one of the reasons I thought fragment was important, like these ideas, these fragments you have, is like, well, that's what makes me me. And so like the only defensible property I have is my life experience and everything I've gone through. So that's like kind of, yeah, please.
I'm curious to understand, like, you built this interface, like, I guess at first you built it with the purpose that it was personal use first.
Yeah.
And then second, I guess my question was, like, what was the main medium that you were, like, what you were getting, like, what is it optimized for? Is it optimized for images and video, or is it
Large files, images, video, and code. So, yeah. And it came from a reluctance or a frustration with not having really good AI version control. And also, sometimes you have a good vibe with like a thread in AI, and losing that is very annoying. So I thought I would rather just go a little bit slower, and then if I hit something I like, I'm like, oh my god, so cool, I'm going to use that in 6 months. Like I feel that so much about this mouth sketch. I just stumbled upon this thing. I can also, do we have audio? Because I have a really cool video I could show to finish it off.
I think we could connect it.
No, it's all good. But anyway, it's fun for ideating on videos and just like expressing yourself, like sort of like you would do in Figma. And then for any design agencies or similar professionals, if you have a mandate to show proof of work or have a record, having something that does this can be mission critical. Yeah.
But it was designed for, like, an all-purpose, like, text, presentations, video, images, like, all of them.
It's mostly for personal use, for storing your ideas, and then everything is stored locally in these really organized directories with versions for every prompt. I didn't really go into that, but I don't know if this little tiger will even have much in it. Oh yeah, every tiger has a lot in it. So this is like the latest image, right? But what I also have in here, and this is just something that I wanted because I'm like a control freak, I wanted to know every prompt I ever did. So I basically have almost every prompt that I took seriously. I have every serious prompt, every serious project I ever did. I can just have and replay it whenever I want. So that to me has like inherent value.
And so when you work on here, like, it's kind of creating the folders on its own, like, you don't have to create the folders on its
Oh yeah. Oh God, no. Yeah, everything's automated. That was the part I hate. Oh yeah. Also, you get into AI art and you're like, why am I uploading and downloading all the time? Like this is not art, right? So that was a huge part of it for me. Was just feeling like very very free with my creativity and feeling like if I had an idea I could record it, come back to it later. I wanted the sketchbook experience. And yeah, one of my best friends said, because I showed it to her and she said, that looks exactly like a sketchbook. Did you do it on purpose? And I didn't, but I think it was like in my subconscious.
Yeah, so it seems like you're able to kind of make this tool for yourself because of your synthesis of random things you did over the years.
Totally.
And what I can tell you, like you said, you're really big into like decentralized, open source, all that stuff, right? What do you think the future of like your regular person right now who's like, I don't know, ChatGPT, a little bit of Claude here or there or something,
Well,
is if they wanted to kind of use their own, create their own system, use their own, so pretty much my question is like, what's the future of like open source, decentralized stuff for your regular person?
very big, man.
That's the last question.
Yeah, yeah. The barrier to entry is very very low now, lower, and it's going to get lower and lower and lower. And so the friction between creativity and sharing your ideas is going to get lower and lower and lower. I believe it's already happening. Yeah.
Closing words? Check out Fragment.
Yeah, check out Fragment. Just to come have a conversation. I've kind of done about a year and a half on this, so I'm looking to prove market right now. I'm considering either just keeping this as my personal weird tool, or if people like it and they want to work with me, I would take it very seriously. I like using it as an assistant in my creative work, but that's that. And otherwise, I think, when you're using your tools online, think about privacy, think about what you want to own and what you give away. And if you have that knowledge that you think is critical to yourself, to your identity, think about cultivating a relationship with some local tool so you can store that and have that as your actual property. Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, Sudan.
Justin is brilliant.
No,
This
thank you.
guy has so much knowledge. We're going to take a little break. As I mentioned,
Thank you.
unfortunately, our last speaker is not going to be able to make it. So I asked Justin to waffle a little bit to extend his talk for us, and I think there was a lot of awesome knowledge in there. He's going to be around, so feel free to bother him. He obviously loves to chat about this stuff. And I don't know if you noticed, but he has great squatting ability. Did you guys notice that?
Oh,
For a developer. Incredible.
hey dude, thank you so much. Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to take another little break. Please don't leave. Jay asked us to
Was it? Okay, good. I
This
don't know
is
if
6
it's interesting or
minutes
not. It's interesting to me.
long. I'm going to put up